Welcome to Masters of Influence, a premier video show where we share the success journeys of the leaders in their field and learn about those pivotal moments and those decisions that shaped their paths to prominence. I'm your host, Nancy Erickson. I work with high net worth clients, individuals, CEOs, and business leaders to give them a white glove, really hands on experience to write, edit, publish, market, and distribute their books worldwide. I'm the owner of Stonebrook Publishing, an award winning publishing house that publishes nonfiction works. Today, my guest is Flo Hart. And if you've been on LinkedIn, you've probably seen Flo everywhere. He is a visionary entrepreneur who blends cutting edge science with transformative meditation practices to elevate leadership performance. With a background in physics and a rapid ascent from sales to leading one of Germany's fastest growing digital marketing consultancies, Flo has guided hundreds of influential leaders, athletes, and celebrities to new heights of personal and professional impact. His unique methodology, born from a personal crisis and thousands of hours of meditation, helps individuals achieve heart-brain coherence, unlocking unprecedented levels of presence and creativity. A sought-after speaker and consultant for major corporations, Flo's innovative approach is redefining personal growth and personal optimization across industries. Welcome, Flo. I'm glad
Thank
to
you for
have
having
you here
me.
today. Yeah, so
Awesome.
tell us a little bit about your growing up years. Where are you from, and what was your family like?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, first off, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on here. So I grew up in the south of Germany, very small town, like 2,000 people, like very rural, very
Mm,
countryside like.
yeah,
And let me kind of sum it up. So I think what kind of shaped me most was this two-sided upbringing I got from my mom and from my dad, as which nurtured my continuous curiosity. So, I mean, I think as a child, every child has this. They just ask why, and I was one of these annoying childs, if you want so,
yes.
and and I never stopped, you know. And I had a dad who was very much into engineering and repairing cars. So he was all day under the car, and I was with him there. And so
Mhm,
I got really this engineering, scientific side from him.
mhm.
And my mom was a people's person. She was a hairdresser, and she just took me around, and I just learned from her this unconditional love and this people, the
Yeah.
social skills there. And yeah, and I kept on asking why. I think that's what made me ask, like, the big questions. Why are we here, you know? And as I had this upbringing in
Have you
terms of
figured that out yet?
I'm on the
The
way.
existential question, right?
I'm on the way.
Yeah,
But yeah, that basically got me into science. That's why I ended up studying physics, I'd say.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you go to university?
And Heidelberg, Germany. I think one of the biggest universities in Europe.
Yeah,
And it was a beautiful time there. Yeah.
yeah.
And obviously, then during study, I kind of figured out, okay, science is great, physics is great. I got their thinking, I got the way of problem solving there, but I lacked the people side.
Oh,
And that got me into personal development because I was very introverted at the time.
mhm.
Because I mean, like, you're just surrounded by pretty much very heady people,
Yeah,
very analytical people. You're one of them, you know.
yeah.
And then that got me into personal growth, personal development, and business, basically.
So when you studied physics, what were you hoping to do with a physics degree?
I just followed the curiosity. I never
You just liked it.
thought, okay, I
Mhm.
want to do this or that. I was like, okay, I want to understand the universe. I want to understand why we're here
Yeah.
and reality. And in the end, physicists don't know. They give you
I
explanations.
know. It's
Uh,
they
uh,
have, they know a lot, but they may not know that, right?
yes, exactly. So yeah, that was kind of my early journey, and
So what was your first job out of college?
that was sales. I
Sales.
was raising funds for an investment company, or working with investment companies, uh, helping them to raise funds, basically, like connecting them with asset management companies, and connecting asset managers with family offices and high net worth individuals.
Mhm.
And it was also, I back then I asked my mentors, uh, if I want to become an entrepreneur, if I want to go into entrepreneurship, what should I do? What skills should I learn? And they said, Flo, learn to sell.
Yeah. Well, that's true for anything.
Exactly.
Many people, like, entrepreneurs, you get into your line of business and you kind of just want to do that thing. You don't want to have to promote it and get, just if the customers would just line up, but that's not the way it works.
Exactly. That's a fundamental skill there. And that's what I did. So I thought, okay, how can I learn the fastest? And for me was, okay, I need to go into cold calling. I need to find a job where I have 50, 100 cold calls a day or more. And that's how I cut my learning curve.
How'd you like that?
Oh, I hated it in the beginning.
Yes.
I
I
hated
can't
it.
say.
But
It's so hard. It's like,
I hated it.
people hang up on you and slam the door.
Well, it was very, very interesting. My first call, my first sales call. So, you're calling people, you have this dial machine, you keep on calling, and then, like, it takes a while to get through, and then you get through the assistants, and then you kind of need them to convince them that they connect you with their bosses.
Mhm.
And the first time when I got connected with the boss, my pitch was so bad. I was stuttering. I couldn't talk. I was like all over the place.
Well, the quest had been just to get through, and then when you get through, you're like, oh, I have to have something.
Exactly.
Oh man.
And I was actually going, like, after that call, I went to the bathroom and cried.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, I mean,
But
too
eventually,
long.
I became good. I just kept on doing it, and I I've been one of the youngest top performers there, and then at one point I started my own thing. So I went into the startup space, working with tech. And what could I do? My skill was sales at the time, so I helped them to sell. I helped them to grow, and I became an interim CRO or CSO, and coached them. And that was kind of the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey, where I just helped them to sell, and applied my scientific thinking, what works right now, how can I see patterns there, and that led me on the journey to digital marketing, LinkedIn predominantly, helping them to sell with LinkedIn. And yeah, and I grew a pretty successful, at the time, pretty successful LinkedIn agency and consultancy. And then I kind of hit a bit of a rock bottom moment there, just realizing what I'm doing, and it's not really aligned where I
with
want to go.
with where you want to go. Well, I want to get back. I want to talk about the LinkedIn part.
Yeah.
I don't know how you started coming into my feed, but you did, and I always learned something from you, and it's always really thought provoking. And I think you post daily. It seems like that you've got an incredible following, and just a lot of core value kind of things that you're sharing with the audience. So you're still on LinkedIn. You're still like doing LinkedIn. So
Yes.
what are you using it for now?
So now it's just spreading the word about meditation, the power of meditation, because that ultimately transformed my life.
So tell us that story. Tell us about how you came into being a dedicated meditator.
So yeah, I've been running this company. I was going really well, quote unquote, in terms of finance, in terms of like cash flow.
Yeah.
Like, people
It was-
needed that service,
yeah.
and I just kept on working more, kept on kind of neglecting other things, on neglecting my relationships, and I just felt like, I didn't feel it at the time, but I kept on distracting myself actually from feeling and connecting with myself. As I mentioned before, I've been this curious kid. I wanted to understand the universe. I wanted to, like tap into this inner childlike curiosity. That was me. That is part of me. But I lost that
Yeah.
flow.
So
And
let me ask you, why do you think we lose that? I mean, you challenged yourself in ways that weren't comfortable. Being an introvert, doing cold calling is about the worst thing that I could think of, as an introvert myself, but had you lost your curiosity, or had you replaced your priorities with something else? Or because a lot of people experience this, and I always wonder, at what point did we start to move away from ourselves?
I think it is habitual things that we do that don't really allow us to be fully present, to be fully like connected. And it sounds now a little bit woo woo maybe, but we are. Why are you, like, if you just ask often enough why are you doing what you're doing? Back then, let's take me as an example. Why I wasn't doing what I was doing? Oh well, because I raised some money. Oh well, because I had investors. I wanted to fulfill them. Because I wanted to make more money. Because I wanted to like give the best service to my clients. But why? Why do I actually need more? Why do I want this? And I kept like, and I did not ask that at a time
Yeah,
later on, after I was really like rock bottom.
yeah,
But you just stop being really present. You stop
yeah,
really feeling. You
yeah,
stop really checking in with yourself. And we are living in a society, unfortunately or fortunately, that keeps us distracting us. And especially if you're an entrepreneur, you just keep on going. You just keep on going. You just keep
turning.
on doing.
Yeah,
And I think it's just habitually you just forget that.
yeah. So
And
can you tell us about your rock bottom?
I
You know,
was I
yeah.
was I was just becoming, I was very workaholic at the time, and my relationship went pretty south at the time, and I just suppressed that with more work. And eventually work, like eventually I didn't perform anymore. Eventually my focus just dropped. I've had difficulties to really perform as I'm used to be, because I kept on suppressing.
Yeah.
And then also business started to kind of crumble, and I was like, what the,
Yeah.
everything is
What's
going
going on?
down.
Yeah. What else could, yeah.
And then uh I was asking myself, it took me a while, of course. It was a process of many months.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was depressed. I was burned out.
Mhm.
I didn't label it at a time, but if you look now in hindsight,
Mm.
and a lot of entrepreneurs don't label themselves. They are very peak performing anxious, peak performing depressed, peak performing burned
Oh,
out.
and stress. There's a lot of pressure at being an
Yeah,
entrepreneur, because if you don't produce, you don't eat. So,
yes.
yeah.
And I was, at one point I just couldn't anymore, and I was like, okay, what is it? What is it that is pulling all the strings together? What makes me me? And I mean, I had this realization. It is not something rocket science, but realization is that everything in your reality depends on your mind, how your mind functions,
Hmm.
how you interpret the world. This is your personal reality.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I need to focus on my mind. And I've been dabbling into biohacking and meditation before. I've been on and off many times, but I was like, okay, I got to, now it's time. Now I got to stick to it.
So what
And
did you do? What did you do? Because
um,
I want to,
I,
and I really want to pull this out, because this is really
yeah,
like a
yeah.
pivotal moment, because there's a
So
lot, you're talking to a lot of people who are in that angst situation where they don't know what to do. They've started this thing, it owns them. What did you do that helped you to, I mean, because you look really relaxed, and comfortable with yourself now. So how do we turn into the new Flo Hart?
I've been I've been going hard on that. Like everything what I do, I just go all in. But what I did at the time, I had this realization. Okay, I need to double down on that.
Mhm.
And I I had a back then a colleague, now it's a dear friend of mine, and he was very inspiring in terms of he had his business together, he had his meditation practice, he was very relaxed, and I was like, okay, what do you do? Like, how do you like who do you learn from? And he connected me to his school, meditation school. So I did this training, beautiful meditation training, you learn and practice. But what the thing was, you have to you learn this practice, and after the meditation training, you have to do it for 40 days, twice a day, the practice, and then for 1 year, at least once a day. And they kind of made us do it, and I paid for it, I did it now. I
Did
know
you
I need to
go
focus.
somewhere physically? Were you learning in person?
I learned in person, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And then I started doing this, and that
Mhm.
got me on the habit,
Mhm.
like because I committed to it.
Develop the habit, right.
Exactly. And you just need to start. That's actually what it was. I started very small, 25 minutes a day. Now I'm meditating between 1 and 2 hours every day. But I don't recommend this now. I just recommend
No,
it
but
just
you don't
starting.
start with that, and you don't have to go there either, right.
Exactly. And that worked so well that I just traveled to Asia, met with masters, did one-on-ones, practiced active meditation, qigong, breath work, and I really went down a whole rabbit hole over the last years. And now I'm pretty much meditating since a decade.
And you're also, helping others to
Yeah.
establish that practice. So tell us more about that.
So I mean, I've been through that journey, and I've been still consulting and coaching people,
Mhm.
and I realized, hey, they're struggling with a similar thing.
Yeah.
And I just started incorporating these practices, and now I really developed a bit of a framework around it. Initially, I just guided them. I guided them how I guide myself, and then I developed a framework around it, and I broke down from all the studies. Okay, there's three kind of methods that I found that work best. They are also, I was really looking through all different meditation traditions, philosophies, and so on, and I saw, okay, there's some commonalities here, there's some commonalities here. I was looking at recent neuroscience, and there are three methods that work pretty much the best. And one is simply an emotional check-in. At a time when I had my burnout, when I had my rock bottom phase, I was not checking in with me emotionally. And that kept me from even going deeper. So first, you need to become aware of what's actually going on. That's hard, especially if you keep on suppressing,
Right.
but it's necessary to go deeper.
Yeah.
And so that is the first step, the first thing you need to do. And I still do it. It's like if something happens, whatever, you had a fight with someone, you a client like it goes really hard on you, or something happens, you have an emotional reaction to that. If you can't process this emotional reaction in the moment, then you store it builds up. And if you keep on building this up, not knowingly, unconsciously, and then you coming into a situation where it's pretty hard to like kind of let's say someone triggers you, and then all of a sudden you say things you don't want to say, you explode. That's what I did back then at the time
Oh, I
with
see.
my girlfriend. And after you regret it, or I
Yeah.
mean, this is not how you are a good leader. You can't be a good leader when you're not emotionally aware of what's going on within you. So the first practice is this. The second practice is, I just introduced actually later. It's a focus practice. It's nowadays we're so distracted. Social media is ruining our attention span. So this is literally just training your focus and training your mind to go into deeper levels of awareness and meditation. And the core practice is all about coherence. It's about heart brain coherence. This is
Tell me what that means.
so coherence. Let me start with the opposite. What's incoherence?
Yeah.
So, okay, imagine you're sitting in a room, and there is a tiger all of a sudden appearing, or bear appearing at the end of the hallway. So what happens? So so basically, then your heart starts pumping up. The energy in your body kind of
You
increases.
get an adrenaline rush.
You get an adrenaline rush. Your cortisol peaks. Your body prepares to fight, flight, or hide.
Yeah.
You get really into sympathetic activation.
Hmm.
And when you are in nature, that's healthy. That's super healthy. That's perfect. You want to survive.
But when you're at work,
Exactly. When you're at work, imagine you're sitting there, you get a nasty email from a client or from your boss. Hey, your presentation the other day sucked. Let's meet. All you can do is respond to the email in the moment. But you have the same adaptation of the body than with a tiger.
mm,
So what happens then is your heart starts bumping against the closed system. It's like putting your foot on the gas pedal and on the brake on the same time.
okay.
And then your heart starts beating very incoherently.
Mm.
It's like the heart rhythms or the different rhythms in the body, they cancel each other out. It's really like your body is losing energy, if you want so. And it's very incoherent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is basically stress, like
Yeah.
hardcore stress, if you
Right.
want so. And now when you're in a basically what you feel as well, this is important as well. The feelings are frustration, anger, despair. Like you really feel not good,
Right.
obviously, right?
Right.
And now, if you compare that to the feelings of love, joy, excitement, inspiration, it's so
Quite
much
different.
different.
Quite different.
And like scientists looked into this and they were like thinking, okay, what happens there? They were really analyzing this. And what happens is when you are in these feelings of love and gratitude, what happens is the heart starts beating in this very coherent manner. It starts beating in this kind of drum-like. It's like this boom, 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 boom. It's like it's very rhythmic.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is the initial stages of coherence. That is when your HRV, when you have an Oura ring or a Whoop
Yeah. Yeah.
or polar meter, your HRV goes up.
Goes high. Goes high.
Okay, so HRV goes high because the variance, the variability between the heartbeat is high. This is this drum-like pattern.
Yeah.
But if you now put this graph on a time axis and you observe it over time, it's very rhythmic. It's like a sinus curve. And that is coherence. And obviously, the more like it is, the more rhythmic it becomes, the more coherent you are and your system is. And that is when your body enters a state of optimal performance. All the rhythms align, your heartbeat, your breath, and then the brain swaps out of this fear. There's no fear. There's no
It's like
frustration.
that state of flow that
Exactly.
you hear about,
And
right?
inspiration. And
Yes. Yeah.
the brain waves, when you look at the brain waves at this time, if you're incoherent, if you're stressed out, it's high beta. If you're getting into coherence, it lowers down to alpha. And the longer you stay in that, this is what happens when you extend it through coherence meditation. The longer you stay in this state and you really look at the brainwave patterns, there's brainwaves on top of brainwaves. You can imagine that you have sinus waves, and on top of this sinus waves, you have smaller sinus wave, and on top of that, you have other smaller waves.
Oh,
And
wow.
all this is basically, this is basically like there's basically information transmitted throughout the body of how to use basically the body the most coherent, most efficient way.
Mhm.
And your brain switches in a very, very creative and peak performing state, or it is close to that. So you can this is this calm, peaceful focus that you have,
So
So
how do you take that from being in that meditative state? How do you translate it into your living, working hours?
you practice it, and you practice it regularly, and eventually you train your nervous system to enter it automatically.
Mm.
You can also, of course, through these practices, you will apply them also throughout the day. It's basically what you do is you slower the breath rate. What we have found is coherence enters, you enter a state of coherence very likely when you breathe around 5 to 6 breaths per minute.
Oh,
Standard normal breathing, let's say average breathing patterns is like 15,
yeah,
20
mine's
breaths a
14.
minute. It's much faster. So obviously it's much slower. And then also what triggers that as well is if you recall memories of love, gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
and you really try to feel it. And if you combine this in a very efficient way, I mean, I can share meditation like that, where I can guide your listeners through that. Then you enter this. But what you learn is you learn how to breathe that way, and that is what you can apply during your day to day, especially when you feel stressed. Especially when I did it before this podcast as well. It's like, okay, how to calm down. This is how, it's a matter of a minute or two, and then you can calm down.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's great. So tell us how are things different for you now?
I think everything. It sounds cheesy, but everything is kind of different
But
because
tell us how it's different.
my I just feel much more joy. I
Mhm.
just feel much more connected with myself. I my I can go into peak focus when I not whenever I want, but like very
Mhm.
consistently,
Mhm.
and I have much more inspiration. So I I think my day to day is much more guided by my intuition actually.
Yeah, and it makes
Um,
life more. It makes it joyful and livable and enjoyable, and you know,
yeah,
and
and also I
it's
mean
we have so much stress in our lives that we don't really even realize it, and
exactly.
it's if we can find ways to eliminate that incrementally, then over time we're able to, like you said, that's where you get into peak performance.
Yeah,
Mhm.
over life. It's not only the
Over
peak
no,
performance in
no,
these
right,
moments. You can
right.
peak perform through drugs or through short bursts, but is that efficient or performing really over life? And that is the difference here, I'd
Yeah,
say.
and you know what? We're so used to saying, "We have to measure this, we have to measure this." So how do you measure, relaxation? Or how do you
Well,
you know, measure, "Oh, I just have more joy," I mean, that
yeah.
it's
I
some of
mean,
it's
I,
subjective, but it's real.
it is subjective. But it's real, and also I think science is catching up right now a lot.
What about
So
in the
you
business world? Do you think people in the business world are more open to
Of
meditation?
course, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and helping them. Like we work with neurofeedback, we work with HRV measurements that helps to track this. You have this bio or neurofeedback type of methodology, which helps you get into that much faster. And you're like, okay, I have kind of you can't quantify it. It's definitely
Yeah,
quantifiable
I
through
mean,
this.
you as a physicist, you need that stuff too, right?
Yeah, it's yeah, but also if you want to just start it, you don't need anything of that. You literally just need to um like learn a practice and follow it through. That that is this, yeah.
So how would you say you're using your influence to impact the world, Flo?
I am sharing well, right now. I think I'm starting going harder on that journey since this year. I've been really uh coming through a rebrand this beginning of the year where I put this what I apply already and teach already out on social media, particularly LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So I share a
And you
lot of
get a
these
lot of good
practices.
feedback too, I noticed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, people love it, and I'm
yeah,
like, oh wow, amazing! It is a powerful tool, especially also for leaders. You
yeah.
know, I was thinking we all know these type of leaders or these type of people where it just feels, oh wow, they have something special. Oh
Mhm.
wow, they are. It's lovely to be around them. I can't prove it yet, but I guarantee these people are in coherence,
Mm.
and this has an effect on the people around you as well.
Oh, so much.
And
Yeah.
that is what I teach people, how to get in that, and how also to kind of stay in that when you're interacting with groups or with your team.
Mhm.
And I think it's a beautiful way.
So you're going to give us a little sample of that in the link in this post. It links to some meditation practices. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll record one for your audience, and it's a short, quick to do, 5 maybe 10 minute practice, where you really learn how to do that, how to enter that state.
Great. And we'll include that in the post, or since you're watching it now, it's there now. So just look
Amazing.
above and you'll find that link. So, okay, Flo, to wrap it up, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions to help our audience get to know you in a different way. Okay.
All
Are you
right, go
ready?
ahead.
I think I already know the answer to this one, but cat or dog?
Both.
Both. I was going to say dog because I know you've got a dog laying by
I
your
got, yeah, but I love cats.
Yeah.
I love them because they need less attention, and and when they come, it's special.
Yes. It's rare and special.
Yeah.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I
Coffee.
love my coffee. I love
Yeah.
coffee.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer, me too. I'm right in there with you. Okay, Netflix or movie theater?
Theater. Movie
Theater.
theater.
Yeah.
I feel like this is more
It's
more
immersive.
classical. It's
Yes.
Netflix is disrupting your attention span. It just rides on your dopamine hits, on your dopamine
Well,
peaks.
and there's all sorts of stuff going on. You know, we all think we're multitasking when we're watching a movie and we're on our phone and blah blah blah. It just creates a lot of confusion.
But having a
Okay.
nice movie theater experience is much better.
Yeah. It's dark and no distractions. I like
Yeah.
it too. Okay, so window or aisle seat?
Aisle.
Aisle. Morning person or night owl?
Both. But I'm becoming a morning person
Morning
now.
person. A lot of meditators are early, they get up early and do that. Okay, Flo, what is something that you cannot do?
I'm not good at singing yet.
Do you think a bad singer can turn into a good singer? I'm not saying you're bad, but I am.
Well, my girlfriend is a good singer, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping she's gonna teach me.
Yeah. I think you have to have some of the physiology for that too. So, okay. Okay. So, if our audience wants to find out more about you, want to connect with you, where will they find you?
Yeah, on X or Twitter, the Flo Hart, and or just LinkedIn.
And right here on
Same
LinkedIn.
handle.
Exactly. Well, I really appreciate your time and your sharing with us about your journey, your downs and ups, and really appreciate having you here today, Flo.
Thank you. I'm honored.
So this is to our audience. So if you or someone you know wants to write a book but doesn't know how to do that, you can find my contact info in my LinkedIn profile. And there's also a link to schedule a strategy session with me. So I appreciate your being here. You've been